When I hear the word CUSP, I always think of togetherness and connecting. To me, it seems to be that cusp of your hands. I was recently at a party and someone asked me what I did, and I said, oh, I'm a data visualizer. And then I kept chatting and she was like, oh, so what do you actually do? And I was like, oh, I make things that make people interested in data. It's kind of like data poetry. She's going to use that, that's much better. Because as a data designer, you're working with information and working out ways to communicate issues through visual graphics, through interactive websites, through film and installations. And that's all about allowing people another way of understanding a complex situation or something that's happened over time, and letting kind of data and visual aesthetics communicate something that's hard to communicate with words or pictures. Fundamentally, I do this sort of design work as a way of enabling change and enabling people to access information in ways that traditionally we haven't been able to. And personally, that has been a journey of learning from a very long time ago, using computers, being trained as an architect, working as a research fellow, exploring 3D information spaces and also game environments, looking at interactivity, spatial design and information, and then distilling that kind of body of knowledge to an area which is primarily about connecting people with information in new ways and enabling people to better understand the complexity that surrounds us through a kind of clear communication language. Each project has its own process. There are elements within processes that are similar, like in terms of the way in which you have to deal with data. It has to be a very kind of precise and accurate way of translating the data into different forms. But from a visual sense, it does stem down to what are some of the ambitions for the project. Like, is it going to be an installation work? Is it going to be something that someone walks by every day of the week, so therefore it needs to be kind of more dynamic and updating? Or is it something that is more of a kind of printed outcome that might last for 20 years and be an artifact that needs to be a bit more timeless in terms of its visual aesthetics, but also the data or the information that it's communicating? So in that regard, interactive works have quite a different process from a print work. And that's the great thing about data visualization and working in this field, is that inherently you should be, as a designer, working across interactivity, print, multimedia experiences. And as a designer, you need to work out how your design language translates across those forms and how to adapt your process to that. So my CUSP project is a presentation of a series of data visualization projects, but it's really looking at the idea of dimensions and how we think about data visualization as a way of engaging the greater global world dimensions right down to the very intimate, personal ways in which we use data. So as a project, it's presenting a series of episodes that show the way in which data visualization can range in dimensionality from the global, international, down to the kind of cityscapes, how we think about our urban environments, how we consider the way in which we interact with the information around us. So it's very much looking at the idea of data, its dimensions, its modulation of data as a way of communicating and understanding the world in which we exist in. In the next decade, I'd see it being more commonplace for institutions or companies to really think about, what are they doing with the data? How are they communicating that to their teams? How are teams of people using it to do what they need to do? And also, as a kind of broadcast channel, how do we enable a sense of transparency or understanding better of what we do by allowing people to open up the channels to the data or the way in which we present it. So inherently in my discipline, I see that as a big part of the next decade, a more openness to the idea of, it's a very beneficial thing to communicate our data in a range of ways, and we also want people to access that in new ways and be part of that kind of information space.